So welcome everyone to Construct Innovate Webinar Series. Today we're opening a new topic on digital construction technologies, and the specific topic for this webinar is digital adoption in construction industry. My name is Magdalena Hajdukiewicz. I'm a director of Construct Innovate, Ireland's National Research Centre for Construction Technology and Innovation. And today I want to welcome three fantastic speakers that are going to do presentations. The first one is Ralph Montague, who will be talking on about the pillars of digital transformation. Our second speaker is Casey Rutland, talking about driving the digital transformation of the build asset industry. And our final speaker today is Louise Foodie, who will show us Covolve, a new digital accelerator. So we'll have those three presentations followed by a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions for our presenters during the presentations, please type your question in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll come back to those questions at the end. So without further ado, I would like to ask Ralph to share his slide and start the presentation. Thanks, Ralph.
Okay, so thanks everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. I guess we're here to talk about innovation, and I suppose the question I want to put up front is digital construction an innovative idea? So the reason I'm asking is the idea of digital construction started as early as the 1970s. So I came across the idea when I was studying to be an architect in the early 90s, and I suppose I've been involved in this journey of the digital transition for the past 30 years. So is it an? I suppose that the question is it an innovative idea if it's been around for so long? And I suppose the thing is, it's a journey. It's not something that happens at one point in time. So I don't think it's specifically about technologies by itself. So, I want to give some, because the technologies have been around and they've been established, they're mature, they're in use. I want to give some sort of other innovative ideas to the discussion. And I suppose the first one I wanted to talk about was the sort of idea of perception of value of information in our industry. And I think every single person perceives the value of the physical built environment. So this is a picture of Dublin, which is the city I live in. And it's, every single person that lives here appreciates the value of the physical built environment. It's where we live. It's where our kids go to school. It's, it's where we have hospitals that care for the sick and the elderly. It provides the infrastructure that gives us drinking water and electricity and plumbing, things we're all incredibly grateful for. For food, like there's hardly anything in life that you could imagine without the built environment. So like the perception of value of the physical is well established for everyone. But the perception of value of information is probably less well established. And it might be surprising, for instance, as you look at this picture, to realize that not a single thing that you see in this picture was built without information. And not a single thing continues to get maintained and operated without information. So, information is how the physical comes into being. And so the innovative idea really is that information is everything. And without information, you won't get the value of the physical built environment that we all have come to appreciate. So, I think we need to, there's a job to be done really about changing the perception of the value of information for a lot of people. I mean, those of you who understand biology will realize that this is confirmed even in the material world. So everything you consider physical and real is actually codified information that comes together to form the material reality. So the question isn't really whether we need information or not, or whether information is valuable or not. The question really comes down to, does that information have to be digital? Because a lot of people would argue that we've managed to build fantastic infrastructure, and we continue to maintain an infrastructure with analog information. Um, so if a lot of people have this attitude is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or that's the way we've always done things, etc. I mean, why does the information have to be digital? What's the innovative idea about the conversion of analog information to digital information? And it comes to a question of scale. The reality is we just are not able to deliver the physical environment that we need to the scale using these sort of outdated old processes. Even in my own lifetime, so the world population has more than doubled. When I was born, the world population was 3.5 billion people. We're up almost at 8 billion people. Um, so the industry is struggling to deliver, and even in Ireland, where we would consider ourselves a first world country, we can't deliver the critical housing we need, the schools, the hospitals, the all the infrastructure we need to support our own community, let alone support what's happening globally. So we're struggling, and building is costly, it's time consuming, the quality is questionable. There's a lot of safety risks, and the way we do building at the moment is unsustainable. We're having an enormous impact on the planet. Yeah, and people get into these debates about the digital transition and machines taking over human jobs, but the reality is we actually need the machines because we as humans alone, using sort of slow analog processes, are not able to cope. So it's not about machines taking our jobs. It's about machines supporting our jobs. If we understand the value of information, then the next question or the next idea of innovation would be around quality of information. If you understand the impact that quality of information has on the physical environment, so bad quality information will create problems. It will slow things down. It will, um, you know, create all the problems I just spoke about. Good quality information will make an improvement. And in fact, there's almost a direct relationship between the time and the cost and the quality of delivering something and the quality of information that you have to do that. Now, of course, to create quality information takes more time and effort than not. So you have this balance of having to put in a bit more effort earlier, and it's debatable really whether it actually costs more, because actually the way we do construction is quite costly already because of all the waste and problems and rework and abortive work and all the legal disputes and everything that's involved that doesn't actually create material value. If it could be reduced or not quite eliminated, but significantly reduced, if the information was more had a higher quality. And then I wanted to introduce this idea of ethics and a moral responsibility that we have as professionals, not only to our clients, but and our colleagues that we work with, but also to society as large, to provide the best information to deliver the best outcome and the best result for humanity. So so that might be an area of innovation. The next idea is this idea of leadership. It's just a sad reality that there's not enough people in this industry that are leading the digital transition. It's a very small minority of people. I don't know how many people you have on this call, but we have in Ireland more than 300,000 people involved in construction, and we have a handful of people on this call to talk about how to lead the digital transition. So we have an enormous amount of work and some serious innovation required in changing people's mindset to this industry and how they contribute to this industry in a in a positive way. And that would be an area to look at. The other pillar or area of innovation is around standards. And standards is one of those things that as soon as you hear the word, your mind switches off and you think of something, oh, it's something cumbersome or boring, or it's going to add additional complication or cost or time to a project. But it's the opposite, actually. The standards are the reason everything works well. The reason you have electricity that's consistent is because of standards, or clean drinking water, or safe food, or all these things are because of standards. And you can look at across societies in the world, societies that have high standards are prospering, and societies that don't follow high standards are struggling. So it's an area where we need to really get people to think about how they produce information, how they exchange information in a streamlined way. And particularly when you start talking about digital, it's quite easy when you're exchanging information on a piece of paper. As long as the paper is white and the ink is black, you can sort of communicate. But once you start exchanging data, the data has to be structured, it has to be consistent, it has to be interoperable and readable by various different systems. And there's just not enough people in this industry that understand the importance of how we exchange information. The obviously our industry, construction, has sort of some unique qualities in that it's quite fragmented. So a typical construction project could involve 50 to 100 different companies at different points in time involved in the process. So the way we procure the built environment has to be considered. I mean, procurement isn't the same as buying. I mean, you can go and buy a property that exists already. That's a simple purchase. It's a transaction. But when you are purchasing something that doesn't exist, it's a process of bringing bringing that into being. It's a process of bringing the unknown and the uncertain, chaos into order. And that has to be carefully considered. The procurement processes that we have at the moment are not supporting our digital transition process. It's very much based on outdated analog exchanges of information and very administrative heavy manual processes. So it's an area of a lot of innovation that can occur to change the way we actually work together. Another idea might be around competency. I've mentioned a few times so far that we're just lacking a general competency across the sector in these digital processes. There's been a lot of people talking about it for many years, but when it gets down to actually doing it, there's such a small number of people who really know what they're doing, and and that's where we need to get to. And not everybody. There's no, I suppose there's no equality when it comes to competency anyway. There's obviously there's going to be a small percentage of people that can make a significant difference, and I suppose we need to figure out how to focus on those people, and rather than focus on the laggards on the other end that trying to maintain the status quo, because they're not helping. And this idea of competency with the digital transition, I'm sure everyone's experiences in their life in other areas, you just can't stop learning. It's not like you spend 3 years at university and that's it. You've learned everything you need to know for a 30-year career. It's continuous change, continuous learning. So we're all students all the time, but also we have a responsibility once you learn something is to pass it on as well as a teacher. So people have to think about this dual role they have as individuals, to be a lifelong student and also a lifelong teacher, to make sure that the information is passed on. And then I suppose there's definitely an area of innovation around action. as I said, I've been in this transition process for 30 years, and I've seen a lot of talk and a lot of academic papers written, and a lot of presentations given um, without real change happening. And it really comes down to action, and it's movement. So we have to establish where we are and where we want to be and how we're actually going to get there, and what is it that we have to do, not talk about, but actually do, to get from where we are to where we want to be. We have to carefully consider the investment we have to make in terms of time and effort and change. So the transition won't happen by accident. It has to be deliberate, and and with a clear understanding of what needs to be done. We also have to be realistic about what we're going to encounter on the way. The digital transition, this journey, isn't a straight road. There's a lot of unknown things that we'll encounter along the way. We have to separate what's relevant and what's irrelevant to us. There's obviously certain things we do know, like as I said, we've been in this journey for, well, the industry has been in the journey since the 70s. I've been in this journey since the 90s. There's some stuff we know, but there's obviously a lot of stuff we don't know, and we have to navigate, I suppose, around those knowns and unknowns, and to move forward. But the key thing is we have to move. Of course, we can not forget about the past. We've learned so many things in this industry that we have to bring forward with us. So even within the analog way in which we do things, we've learned some fantastic things, and we have to bring those things with us and not ignore them. But mostly we have to look at what's helping us to move forward and what's stopping us from moving forward. So I think that's, in terms of research and innovation, that's a key area. So to bring all these things together, I think another key area is this idea of community. Like one person can't know everything. There's just too much. The subject is too big for one person to know everything. So you have to collaborate with other people. You got to pull resources. You got to pull knowledge. You got to pull wisdom. Pull them together into community. So this idea of community is everywhere. It's in business. I mean, businesses are communities. They're of diverse knowledge and capabilities. Projects are communities of bringing various disciplines and specialists together with a varied resources, and and even industry should be seen as a community. And by establishing these ideas of leadership and standards and competency, across community. And the key part of community is two things. One, you have to have a shared vision. You have to, as a community, you have to be moving in the same direction, not pulling against each other. And the second thing is you have to communicate with each other. And we're in an age where communication is so easy. Like we are, Casey's in the UK, Magda's in the Netherlands, I'm in Dublin. We can easily communicate. We can share information. We can share knowledge. But we have to do that in a sense that we're all working together towards something. So just to end, I wanted to give you a little story. But we've established that information is critical to everything, to the physical environment. You can't get rid of it. We've established that the digital part of that assists us in scaling up what we're doing to make it better, to make it quicker, to make it cheaper, to make it more sustainable, to make it safer. So we're in the story, and there are three actors in the story. The first group of people are the people who are really doing something to make a difference. So they are those who are willing to take responsibility, to coordinate information, to propagate the production and the management of good quality information. And these are the people who are bringing about change in our industry. And I call them the heroes. These are the people who are the solution to our problems. But there's another group of people, and I call them the villains. These are the people who are not willing to take the responsibility, or even in many cases are actively obstructing progress or perpetuating the exchange of corrupt or poor information. And they are the people that are creating the problems that we're experiencing in our industry. And there's a third group of people, and these are the victims. These are the people that are living with the consequences of our poor performance of our sector. They are the people that are saying that they have no choice and just doing what they're told, etc. They haven't taken a position of either of being a hero or a victim. But besides these three types of characters, I can't see any other type of character in our story in this industry. So it's really just a choice for everybody, where you want to be. So thanks for your time. We are passionate about this digital transition. It's what we've been doing. Well, it's what I've been doing for my whole career. It's what we've been doing as a business for 15 years to help people navigate this journey. And I hope that was useful. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Hopefully the webinar series is giving people tools to become those heroes that you mentioned and help change the industry. Okay, I may ask Casey now to share his slides and we follow to the next presentation.
Thank you, Magdalena. Thank you to Ralph for setting me up quite nicely. Not sure which of the categories I fit in, but I'm going to try the heroes category. Hopefully what I'll do now is to explain a little bit of how we take the essence of what Ralph's just introduced and drive that into adoption in industry, and certainly appreciation of the digital side of the built asset industry. So I've got quite a number of slides, so I'm going to move through them quite quickly, skipping past the main part of the intro from me, but you'll have access to these slides afterwards. But I'm here today representing Building Smart UK and Ireland. I'm chair of that organisation, and I'm also chair of NEMA, which used to be called the UK BIM Alliance, and we've rebranded to communicate slightly differently. My day job is my company Digital Green, and we are a digital transformation consultancy helping businesses, organisations, owners, operators do exactly what Ralph has mentioned. So the two organisations, both NEMA and Building Smart UK and Ireland, are essentially one and the same organisation, but with slightly different emphasis on what they do. So the Building Smart UK and Ireland chapter is one of 33 countrywide organisations as Building Smart International. So there are 33 other chapters around the world, and it's been going for 25 or so years. So it's there to promote the standardized data of the way to describe our built environment. And in the UK and Ireland, that's part of NEMA as the organisation, has been since 2015. So together with NEMA and the British Standards Institution, we coordinate the UK BIM framework. And the UK BIM framework is the suite of standards that projects should be run by in the UK and ideally around the world, because essentially what we're promoting is best practice standardization of the process of creating information and data about our built and natural environment. And that really is our aim as an organisation. I should probably reiterate that both these organisations, Building Smart and NEMA, are pro bono, so all volunteer run. We have a few paid roles for admin and back of house things, but we're all volunteers. So we're promoting best practice across the whole of the built and natural environment for better information management. Our ultimate vision is a thriving and sustainable built and natural environment transformed by exploiting purpose-driven and interoperable data. Now, data given context, in whatever context that might be for the business or for the built environment, is information. And that's really what, leaning on what Ralph's introduced. We, as the organisations, have a series of activities. These are our hero words, and what we're trying to do, and since we relaunched from the UK BIM Alliance into NEMA in October last year, was to have some hero words in terms of how we're going to try and engage industry. So this is promoting how we can inspire people, how we can influence government bodies and organizations, how we can connect different initiatives, how we can support industry, ultimately leading to the transformation and appreciation of data and digital. We do that through promoting the UK BIM framework, and the very essence that BIM is not a 3D model. BIM is a process of defining, creating, and delivering structured data and document information, making that information available to the right person at the right time for the life cycle of built and natural environment assets. And it's important that we understand it's not just for design and construction, it's not just for that stage of the project, it's for whole life. And we're starting to see people now come to us for help because the information management process, the standardized data, the repeatability, the scalability is helping people solve problems. Problems like decarbonisation, problems like fire and life safety, problems like saving money, reducing waste, other sustainable initiatives. And we do that by talking to people in ways now that's slightly different to the way we used to when we were the UK BIM Alliance. And we talk to them in normal terms, terms that we hope they will understand. So terms like specification, like procurement, like delivery, like assurance, checking, storage, presentation, and exploitation. These are all standard words. We deliberately chose not to use the RIBA work stages or any other work stages that may be split up around the world, because these words really do make a difference in connecting with the people that we need to at the time. So when it comes to adoption and driving the transformation of the industry, I think the way Ralph described things is exactly the way we need to be talking to industry in plain terms that everyone understands. There's also this perception that BIM or information management is somebody else's job, and that's what we're trying to unpick. So we do promote the idea that we're all, in one form or another, as part of this industry, we're all information managers. Whether we're creating information, receiving and consuming information, or making decisions based on information, we all need to manage that information and data somehow. And there are best practice standardized ways of doing that. And where we see the demand in the UK, we've just had the Building Safety Act to create safer residential buildings. We've got the IPA Transforming Infrastructure Performance Roadmap to 2030. And within that document, the TIP, as we call it, is the Information Management Mandate. We've also got the UK Government Construction Playbook and the Digital and Data Technology Playbook, all that take advantage of what Ralph's introduced. What we're saying is that there are standardized ways of creating data, of using it, of procuring it, and all of those things that should be relevant to anyone around the world as part of this construction industry, construction ownership and operation industry. We have the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, all of which are applicable to how we use data to solve a lot of those challenges. And then we have buzzwords and other digital initiatives like digital twins. So the demand is here. It's not coming. It's very much here. It's things that we all need to deal with right now. Now, I mentioned our information management mandate in the UK. You have a similar one coming out in Ireland in January. I was over in Dublin informing the group of people that are creating that information management mandate. So that's coming very, very soon. Ours is available on the website. If you get hold of this presentation after this, you'll be able to click these images and go straight to it. Or if you just search UK Government Information Management Mandate, you'll get taken straight to the webpage where you can download it and have a look. But it's not just that. This report by the World Economic Forum was created in 2018. So a long time ago, 5 years ago, and it was an action plan to accelerate BIM adoption. So recognition that generally around the world, the construction and real estate world haven't adopted BIM as quickly or as effectively as they should have done. So this is really a plan. Again, just Google it, download it. It's free to read, but it's got very relevant things in there. It's about why economically and from an industry perspective, why we should be adopting new ways of working. So in terms of current status, what we've got in the UK is, yes, we've missed some of our targets. Yes, we're not achieving some of what we should do, but we've also had some successes. And part of that success is being driven by not just talking about 3D models. If we talk to the C-suite and the executives about 3D models, about visualizations, it's not really the top of their concerns at the moment. It's about reducing financial risk, reducing other risks, understanding how they can decarbonize their business, understanding how they can meet targets and report when it comes to ESG and act on those reports. And this is about creating structured data and documents about the built and natural environment. So checked data, interoperable data, and secure data. These are the things that are meaning things to people. So there are opportunities. Some of them have been missed, but we are very much getting closer and closer to making a reality on those returns and benefits. Some people have come a long way with just taking the chaos of one of the images Ralph had was just piles of paper. Some people still operate like that. Some people have taken their piles of paper and their archives and their storage, and they've turned them into organized information sets, which are accessible. So they have got better performing businesses, they're saving money, they've got happy staff, they're able to make decisions in a much easier way. And that's just organizing documents. What the BIM process says, and it has done since it was BS 1192, now it's ISO 19650, an international standard, is take that level of maturity from the document management, but take it to object management. So you're taking managed documents and managed information, and you're applying that same level of rigor to data about objects, about assets, about maintainable assets. And we're making it secure, we're making it interoperable, we're making it digital, and we're making it so that it can be repeated and supported across the industry, around the world. We're entering a global digital economy. And that enables us to get business insight, proper business insight when we add other business system data sets to it, when we add other demographic data, weather data, or whatever data we happen to need for a particular use case. This is what being digital enables us to do. We're not able to do that very easily, very effectively, cost effectively in an analog way. We really do need to make this transition to get to that point. Now, I've mentioned interoperability a couple of times. Building Smart UK and Ireland is the organisation in this region to be able to promote data that is interoperable. And I'm not going to read this on screen, but we have a definition of what we think interoperability is in terms of sensible words to share with people at any level, at any stakeholder level across the entire industry. And we do need to be able to exchange data securely for a defined purpose across the contract lines. And there is a way that we can use a schema, a language, to be able to describe most built assets that we have. And as I mentioned, Building Smart International has been around for over 25 years, has created industry foundation classes, or IFC as it is sometimes called. It is an international standard, has been for a long time. This is the latest version, although there's one just about to come out in first quarter of next year, ISO 16739. It's a global international standard. It's downloadable. You can get it for free if you go to the Building Smart resources. But Building Smart International's aim is to deliver improvements and the creation and adoption of open international standards for infrastructure and buildings. And there is a digital way we can use to describe our built environment. Anecdotally, if you assume the internet is written and built on HTML as a language. Imagine if your organization decided not to use HTML to create their website. They created their own language. It works within your company. You've got your own special browser that can see things within your company, but search engines can't find it. Other people can't find your information or your data. They can't view your website. They need your special browser. It'd be chaos. You would isolate yourself. You couldn't get anyone else to see your website other than within your company. And yet this is exactly the same approach that people are taking now in the built environment. They are creating their own way of describing their assets. And we need to be careful of that. We need to avoid it because we know people have legacy systems, but they're not as connectable, as interoperable with this global digital economy that we're entering. And that's where IFC steps in. So IFC enables people to take their legacy data sets, to convert them to a standardized, interoperable way of describing those things. And if we look at how they're actually structured in terms of the language, which I won't go into, they're fairly similar. They have ways of standard ways of describing objects and assets, which means if we need to point a dashboard at it, it's the same place on every project, on every product. And it enables us to do that insight into what it is we're looking at. In terms of areas that are covered, all of these areas are covered currently in specific groups that are globally discussed around the world. So whether they're just buildings, whether it's the construction process, whether it's infrastructure, energy, electrical, whether it's maritime, which is a new domain that's popped up, railways, product, airports, or regulatory. If we've got a standard way of describing digitally these built projects that we have, we can then check them for code compliance, for building regulations compliance, for planning approvals. We can use automated ways to check whether these things can pass certain things, which frees up a lot of local council time and efforts in order to do these things, speeds up the entire process. If we go back to these original 7 stages that we mentioned in their plain words, we can use IFC resources. We don't have time to go through all of these, but get in touch with me afterwards if you do want to know more, or go to the Building Smart UK and Ireland website. But we have a way of specifying the data you want and then using an information delivery specification to procure that, to go out to including contracts for design teams and construction teams to deliver it, to check it, to store it, and to present that data in different ways. And then, of course, to exploit it for business reasons. All of these tools that are on screen right now are individual services, most of which are free or very, very low cost, and are available there as a global group of volunteers promoting an internationally standardized way of describing built assets in the built environment. What we're looking to do as NEMA and as Building Smart is to take our area of expertise in information management and take that to these other digital initiatives. We're not going to become experts in robotics or prop tech or AI, but what we are good at is the information management process that we can take to all of these other digital initiatives. And that's what we're looking to do. So if you know anyone in any of these other digital initiatives that you think should know about the standardized data set, because I'm pretty sure the prop tech people can use that. We're already having conversations with them. IoT things, digital twin things, we're having all those conversations to bring our topic of information management for the built and natural environment to these other initiatives. That was a super fast run through, but thank you all for your time. I hope you all found it helpful. You can scan the QR code to get to the websites for Building Smart and for NEMA. But if you do want to reach out, by all means, please do.
Thanks very much, Casey. Very interesting presentation and great to see the insight on the information management and how it links to other areas in the digital technologies field. I may ask Louise now to share her slides and we'll go to the final presentation of today. Thanks, Louise.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today, and thank you to everybody for dialing in. Lovely to be actually going after the other 2 speakers, because a lot of the background and what they have discussed I will bring up here, particularly around the whole area of people. And Ralph started and spoke a lot about this whole thing of, are the people in the industry to do this? Is the appetite there to do it? And the technologies, of course, are massively important, but it's the people that will make this happen or not happen. So throughout my deck, I'll share our journey on that, particularly around the people side over the last number of years. I'm currently about 3 weeks now in my new position as Managing Director of Covolve, which is a digital accelerator. The digital accelerator is backed by Kingspan Group. Kingspan Group I have been a part of since I graduated from college, actually. So I have been around the built environment and been around the industry for all of my career. And, you know, when people ask me, you know, what brings you to the construction industry? I graduated with a degree in commerce and a degree in Italian, and a lot of my friends and my people from college were going to work for Diageo or in all these different companies. But the construction industry was always attractive to me. And the reality is, it is one of the largest sectors in the world economy. So it's an economy where, whether people realize it or not, we're impacted. We impact it and it impacts us. And if from the latest McKinsey report, like the economy is worth about 10 trillion in value. So I look at that, and if I put my commerce degree back on me, I see opportunity from a business perspective and loads of new ventures, new areas, and new opportunities. It does affect us. This is me in Dubai, where I'm admiring the gorgeous buildings and the wonderful place that it was, with lots of sun cream on me, of course. And it's also on a very daily basis where I live now in Galway, where we're dreaming and hoping about a ring road because we're stuck in traffic everywhere we go. So we may not be fully aware always that the impact the built environment has on us on a daily basis, but it's huge. And we have to keep attracting people to work in our sector to be able to, move it on. So all evidence I see, and Ralph talked about, his work in the industry over the last 20, 30 years around digital adoption. And I would see all evidence moving towards digital adoption, but it's not easy. It takes special people, it takes huge belief, huge confidence, and huge risk, I would say. Will we have robots sitting beside us? Will they replace us? I would say absolutely not. And it's imagery like this that we're kind of having our heads around digitalization, but it's the real practical things that both speakers spoke about there today around data, around people, around really going after the big hero items. So the three areas of opportunity I wanted to share with you that we have uncovered, which I don't think is anything new, but we've managed to put it into three bucket areas for ourselves in terms of explaining it and living by it. And the first one is very much productivity. Sometimes we call it efficiency, but it's really about productivity and how much more I can do with the same amount. So can we be way more productive, or can we do things with the less amount? So productivity being a huge, huge driver. The second piece, and you would want to be living under a rock, I think, if you weren't influenced, affected, or really inspired by the sustainable movement that's happening in the world. And traceability and building performance being at the core of that. Am I able to trace the products right through, like farm to fork, if you think about the food industry, what is going into my building? And then are the buildings performing? Any of you who, all of us really are affected by the price of electricity bills in our homes and in our commercial buildings. So we can see that the drive, the financial bear, makes people realize, wow, we need to do something about this. And finance does move the world around, whether we like that or we don't like that. And that is a reality. And, I often use the example, would we still be going to the supermarket and picking up the plastic bag if somebody didn't bring in a levy? So it does take government regulations, and it does take financial effects for us to take these things seriously. And on the sustainability arena, that is coming, whether it's the flooding in Cork or whatever it might be that's affecting all of us right now. The sustainability piece, digital will be a driver of it, and it will be a driver of digital. And then this is the part I think I get most passionate about, because this is where I see the difference. How do we attract people into the sector to work on the digitalization program, from new startup businesses to more mature businesses and everything in between? So this is where people will demand more. So if we look at the graduates, just take a typical example of somebody coming out of college. I can't imagine they'd join a company, say like Kingspan, and expect to be working in anything but 3D, 4D, and maybe 5D, as an example. And the whole process that goes with that, as the guys were talking about earlier. So the opportunity to attract those people that will make the difference as other industries mature. So I would get, applications, and I would get correspondence from people from the Googles of the world, and what we would say are dominant tech sectors wanting to look into our sector. So there I would see opportunity across all of these things, driving digital and digital driving it. So let me share with you a little bit about the Kingspan journey that led us to co-evolve. This program when I kicked off 5 years ago with a brief from our CEO in terms of go and understand the opportunity and see what we need to be doing and should be doing around digitalization. So we first of all looked internally at our company. So we talked to the people, we run challenges. This is an example of a global digital challenge to see, is there any appetite for digital? And the reality is we had hundreds of people get involved, and we ran a program over 8 weeks. So we could see, okay, there's some level of interest here in terms of digital. Then, of course, you get sucked into when you look at what's happening externally. So this is an older slide from 2021, and some of these businesses have come and gone. Some of them are thriving, and there's a lot more since. But you're able to see that there is money coming into the sector. And I think that's what's fundamentally different from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago from this slide to now, and what I'd be involved in terms of venture capitals and money coming into the sector. The money will allow for things to happen, and it'll bring the people and all of that good stuff. So we can see that, you know, change is happening. And as I said, a lot of these companies will come and go. It is incredibly difficult to start in our industry. Again, going back to what the guys were talking about in terms of interoperability, and if you're working in silos, and what are these technology companies setting out? What problem are they setting out to solve? How do they go and find their first customer in what is a very, very fragmented, typically localized sector? So we said, as a company, the internal piece I just showed you, doing a lot around that. And then from an external perspective, maybe we should make an investment in one of these companies. And that we did. You'll see Invacara here on our slide, and I may even have some of the people on the call here today, but we made an investment in Invacara. And that was to really, for us to get a feel for a big PLC. Kingspan is nearly 9 billion in sales this year. You know, for us to look at what does the startup world look like? And really for us to ask ourselves the question, is that where a lot of the ideation is going to come from? Is that, or, you know, have we a risk of being disrupted? So we made an investment, and I'll show you a little bit later about what that translates into. But again, I hope you're starting to see a theme of, you know, risk, looking at different things and exploring opportunity. Here, I just wanted to show you a mix of, you know, there is strategy behind this, there is time behind this, there is effort behind this, and I would like to think there is real ambition behind it. So we set up that digital incubator with a mission of understanding that opportunity. And, you know, the numbers spoke for themselves. We have lots of wins, we have lots of learnings. So we have become to learn the language of it's not failure, it's a learning, because every day was a school day and is absolutely still a school day in terms of this world. When you come into a traditional business like ours, you can talk about you values. And if we're in America, we'd be talking about our values, and we can talk about production lines, but to talk about digitalization, a language completely foreign, misunderstood. And again, as the guys were alluding to, you have to start bringing the very basic everyday language into the dialogue, or people have no idea what you're talking about. And you cannot sell theory. You have to be able to sell actual value of what is it. So we have improved digital workflows. You know, we call these digital solutions, and we have workflow improvements where we're automating way more, and all that is leading to much better product activity. We have almost 40 digital specialists directly within our team. There are people, new roles that never existed before. They are a mix of Kingspan people who have come in to work on the digital piece specifically, so pulled out of the day job 100%, and people that have come in from different companies with and outside of our sector. So a lovely mix. And then we work with a wider ecosystem, which gives us about 100 specialists to hand when we're trying to solve our data challenges, our technology challenges, our people challenges, all those wonderful things that we, you know, bounce out of bed in the morning to tackle. And I know it's making a difference now because I have the attention of our CEO, I have the attention of our board, and that's because we're able to put operational savings. We're able to put savings in what we're doing from a productivity standpoint in particular, but also in terms of the new value that we're creating within the industry. So let me share with you what is our overall product. Like when we talk about digital, what is it? What are the facets of it? So for us, it's made up of 4 things. We live, breathe, sleep, and still dream about being good at data, right? Okay, we have to dream about this because it is incredibly difficult to get the people to focus on it and to be able to show the value. And until you can show value, it's not understood, and people will default to working on projects and initiatives that are far more interesting for them. So when we talk about data, we're talking about structuring our data in terms of product data, in terms of customer data, and showing real value from that. And we have specialists now involved in this, and we're trying to bring that language, that understanding, and those wins throughout the business. But that is the underlying piece. The next piece then is all about the new technologies. So if you're more traditional legacy, dare I say, type technologies that you need to have humming for you, like from your ERPs, your CRMs, that whole world. And then you're moving into new and emerging technologies. And this is where I think my team get very excited, because the speed that new technologies are now coming out at or enhancing would help us to accelerate what the legacy systems perhaps struggled to do or just not able to do, particularly from a user experience standpoint. Everybody now wants their experience to be like they're on an iPhone. So we have to move all our technologies to be like that. And you'll notice from my diagram here that these are under the iceberg. So these are the things typically that are unseen. These need to work, these need to happen. And these are a real grind, I would say. The magic happens then above the iceberg. This is what you can see, feel, and touch, and what you experience. And this is all about new ways of working. So the BIM process that we talked about there earlier, and also the new ways of working around how you go about getting these initiatives and these programs initiated. And I'll share that with you in a couple of minutes, because we have to be extremely creative to move this forward. And at the very top of our tree, it's all around customer centricity. So that customer is a multitude of people. It can be you or me buying our house, and we have a better experience because the right installation is in our building. Or I have a digital twin that I can tell exactly, the heat loss or in my house. It might be the pension fund owners and how they understand their building is operating. It could be contractors. Is the product getting there at the right time? So it's everything around making experiences better. And we in Covolve, and I'll be sharing some of this with you in a few moments, we want to be disruptive. We want to almost forget the 25,000 steps it takes to design, build, and build buildings, and we want to find a Revolut example. We want to, remove friction and make the experiences, whether you're designing, building, or operating that building project, infrastructure project, that we're really making those experiences better and evolving our industry because it deserves it. So some of the initiatives that we do, some of you might find these interesting. So we look deeply at friction points. So at this moment in time, since we set up the program, we have been measuring 60,000 customer voices, understanding the journeys and understanding where the friction is, so we can predict better value points and knowing what is of value to customers. Again, all highly digitalized. We are on a mission to leave 2D behind us and move from the world from 2D to 3D, not just from a visualization standpoint, but the whole process itself. Ordering, understanding if there's problems on site. And again, look at all these data points. So, and you can see more data points. So the more data rich our technologies and our experiences become, the more we will be able to do in the whole building. Here is another example where I go a little bit deeper in terms of one of our offerings that we have, where, you know, we might sometimes ask ourselves the question, why is the industry so behind? But actually, where you have bright engineers who understand a clever way of doing things, which our structural engineers have been, we have been doing electronic ordering in our cold rolled steel products actually since the 1990s. And we want to take that way of working and make it much more simple and accelerate it across all of our product sets and right through into the industry. We have opened up new communities with our new technologies and our new ecosystems. Here's an example of companies that we're working with over the last 2 years who are engaging with our new digital products and our new digital way of working. I always like this one because it gives me great confidence that we are actually making a difference with our customers and with the market. And everything, going back to, if you remember my iceberg and you remember our speakers, the two guys, their importance of data, and it'll take everybody, it'll take an ecosystem, it'll take friendships and dinners and trips abroad and I don't know what else to really, really make the data piece for people to get serious about data and to be able to share and the interoperable piece and not see them, everybody see each other as competition, you know. So how can we come together more? And we've been doing this even within Kingspan. We might be one big branded company as Kingspan, but we're made up of hundreds of companies. So we've been able to experiment with this and say, okay, can we bring data sets together? And from a digital product data standpoint, we have been working really, really hard on a product information management system that will allow all of our products sit in one place and update our channels all at the same time. This is a 10 million euro plus investment. Like when we're serious about data, it's, you know, they're not jobs on the side for one person. They are big company-wide initiatives. What does the future hold, I guess, is the kind of wrap up of where we go. So we're looking at innovation, I think, in a new way. You know, we've explored a lot of areas of digital, and we now have 4 very clear pillars. So the essentials are the backbone. These are the things we should have been doing and companies should have in place, the comfort zone. So what are we doing? Digital backbone, technology, data, all that good stuff. That has to become the day jobs, they're KPIs, they're measured, they're rewarded. Experiences, how do we really get serious about ways of doing things and doing things better? Apps and really simple ways of working. Engaging in new and interesting ways, again, to attract people into the sector, to share, to upskill. And the part then that I love is radical innovation. So are we going to be brave enough? And I say, yeah, someone has to do it. We want to be really brave and try more of our area of experimentation, what I would call radical innovation. This is your Revolut type model stuff. So how can we really take some big leaps? And we believe we can do loads of that as Kingspan Group, but we're really going to make a leap when we work way closer with the whole sector as a whole, from universities, startups and established businesses, our customers, direct customers, new customers, and really get in behind solutions around all that. And a whole idea of sharing the advantage, because it's really nice when the what ifs start to pay off. So here's an example from Invocara. So we've been working with Invocara and we made an investment with them, and they've been a huge advocates of what we do, and same with them. And to see them go in and work on the first cognitive city in the world in NEOM and using their software and their technologies to power their digital twins has been incredibly rewarding. So we know the what ifs, you know, can pay off. And we talked about bringing people together, and here is ideas where we ran our first hackathon, and now we're looking at the idea of how do we accelerate that. So this is our first hackathon, and I hope something stands out for you here. It's that nearly every single person in each photograph is smiling, because it is possible to have fun while create new ways of doing things. And otherwise, all those topics I talked about, data, technology, etc., are just too boring. You have to make it exciting for people to attract them in. And we came up with some fantastic ideas and fantastic solutions over the couple of days. And we continue to work on what ifs and experimentations around new ways of doing things. Really, another what if is from our circularity perspective and traceability, and really taking a hard look at how we could understand that traceability and get out first mover advantage with the industry on this. Also, machine learning. We have some AI POCs happening at the moment where we would look to make the design process a lot quicker. So, you know, you can imagine your traditional way of doing this with your literature, and you might have some BIM models as well, but now can AI accelerate that? And these are the what if questions that the more focus we put on experimentation will allow us to do. And then the big question came with, well, what if we could really get serious about this? So not, you know, we're not a digital team sitting as part of Kingspan was where this all started. And now we say, can we stand on our own 2 feet? Can we move an industry with us? Can we partnership? Can we make this an exciting place to work? And who knows what it might bring? And we experimented with that idea, and we came up with the name CoVolve, this idea of co-creation and collaboration and evolving the industry. The co happened to have construction as well, but that was almost by accident. So we threw out this idea, and it has been very well received. And what it's all about really is being formal in what we talk about. So yes, we are on a mission to evolve digital innovation. So if you remember my slide on the 4 areas of innovation, we want to do way more on the experimentation side, because it's only through the experimentation that we're going to make big leaps when you think about something completely different. And the incremental piece will happen as well, but that's 5-10-year journeys. And we think with bringing partners together, bringing people together, that we can really evolve the industry. So we have to put our money where our mouth is. It's one thing saying this, it's another thing acting on it. Stop talking, more action, I think was Ralph's phrase earlier. So this is where we said, let's start with a 20 million fund. So there is no cap, whether this is a week or this is 10 weeks or this is 10 years. This is for us as an industry to go after and to partner, to ideate, to start up and potentially acquire. We're working through these frameworks at the moment, and we're inviting people to be part of it. And the idea being, you know, we would be able to back companies, back ideas, and really accelerate digital innovation and digital solutions and digital adoption, which is the topic of today's call. And then how do we set out to do it? We have two pieces to it. We have the new ventures that we talk about, the 20 million investment, and this takes us into completely new territory. And then we have our digital solutions, which is our arm, which lets us test all this. So this is our ecosystem of all our Kingspan businesses and our network and our ecosystem within the industry. So a nice bridge between ventures and solutions. So without further ado, that is me finished. I have the QR code on here where I would invite you to scan and take a look at our LinkedIn and maybe leave some comments if you like. And I would say this has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and I hope it has been informative. And most importantly, I hope it has given you confidence that big businesses like Kingspan are behind digital adoption. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Louise. Very interesting presentation and great, you know, presenting the digital ecosystem from the data going through the technology, people to the experience. I know Ralph has been busy there in the background answering the questions that were coming in through from the audience. So I'm just going to share now the final slide. We're slightly over time, and I just want to thank our speakers very much. Fantastic presentations. Thank you to all attending today. I hope you found the presentations very useful. So this is the first webinar in this series. We have 5 more to go. The digital platforms will kick in next week on 14th November. So please join us. You can book your tickets through Engineers Ireland website. So thank you everyone for attending, and on behalf of Construct Innovate, I also want to thank Engineers Ireland for facilitating this webinar series. Thank you and have a good day.